Welcome to Sabre Scream of Pasadena. My name is Coach Tommy, and today we're going to talk about something fundamental to every swordsman's knowledge, and that is weapons maintenance. You need to keep your weapons in good working order and free of rust and well oiled so that they last a long time. So today I'm going to show you how to disassemble your Olympic sports saber. I'm going to teach you how to clean it. I'm going to teach you how to maintain it, put it back together, and ensure that it's always in good quality. So the tools you're going to need are primarily a piece of sandpaper or something else with some grit. This is 216 grit sandpaper. It's pretty fine. You want to use something like this. They do make purpose-built buffing blocks for fencing swords, but you don't need that. Something like this or an old nail buffing block will work just fine. You may also need a Allen key. This one is from Absolute Fencing, made specifically for fencing weapons. So this is going to be used to pull the pommel nut off. Most sabers shouldn't have that problem. You should just be able to pull it off by hand, but if yours is in there pretty tight and there's actually space for this to fit, then you'll need this to pull it off and put it back on to make sure it's on tightly and securely. The last couple things you're going to need are some oil. I'm using plain old olive oil and a rag to wipe it off. So let's talk about disassembling the weapon. First thing you're going to do is go to the pommel nut and loosen it. Twist right off and make sure you put all your parts someplace you can find them. Last thing you want is something to roll away and you can't find it when you're ready to reassemble. Then the bell guard stretches and pops off. The grip needs to come off next. Then your pad, and if you have one, a electric socket. The bell guard comes off after that, and then the blade. Now then, I want to talk a little bit real quick about blade colors. You'll notice mine is a nice gold color. That means that it has been anodized, and I don't actually want to take the sandpaper to this. Mine is anodized all the way through the tang. You will see some blades are only anodized through here, possibly down to here, and then go to normal steel past here. If you have a tang that is of non-anodized steel, you do want to take the sandpaper to it, or whatever you're using to buff out the rust to clean that. But any part that has been colored, you do not want to take anything abrasive to, because that will remove that anodized coating and allow rust to get in, which is what we don't want to have happen. So I'm going to be cleaning this old foil of mine. The cleaning procedure is going to be exactly the same, just you'll be seeing me buff on this one, and then I'll reassemble these. Right, so here we are ready to clean this old foil, which is our surrogate saber. I'm going to leave it assembled for now because I don't really care or need to disassemble it. So, you might be able to see on camera there are discolorations all over the blade. The blade should not be this brown color, it should be closer to that steel color on the corners. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the sandpaper and we're just going to start rubbing on the blade. And if you feel it getting hot, that's good. It means it's doing its job. And you're going to notice a whole lot of steel is going to fly off. You can even wrap it like this. And on this foil, by doing it this way, I'm getting 2.5 times the work out of it. And you can see even with just this little bit of work, the blade is already coming cleaner. Now I'm going to do the sides. call that good enough for now. Since I don't fence with this weapon very often, I'm not worried about how bad it looks. I'm just going to give it a quick wipe down, but it does look fairly decent for a quick little job. Now then, the bell guard is quite scuffed up, so I'm just going to take my sandpaper, try and even out some of those scuffings and work any rust that's gotten into them, and wipe it clean. Alright, my pommel looks a little rusty, but we shouldn't have this issue with sabers, as all of our pommels should be covered in rubber. Right, so reassembling the saber is in the exact opposite order that we took it apart in. You're going to take the blade, take your bell guard, fit the bell guard on there, make sure that you have the edge lined up with the knuckle bow. The socket goes on next, followed by the pad, and make sure you get your socket through the little hole. Then your grip, and the knuckle bow stretches over, pommel nut over top. Now then, my blade does go all the way through my pommel nut, but if yours does not, it would be a good idea to grab your Allen key, fit it in there, and give it a good couple of twists to make sure it's really, really tight, because it's very annoying to be in the middle of a bout and have to pause for a minute so that you can tighten your pommel nut. Now then, I'm going to oil my blade. If you have an anodized blade like mine and you skipped all the way to this point because all that buffing doesn't apply to you, then let's go ahead and get that done. I have my paper towel and a bit of olive oil. I'm going to spray a very, very small amount onto the paper and then dab it away. You do not need a whole lot of oil for this. So now that I'm going to unfold and fold backwards, so I have even less oil there, and then fold in half, take my blade, and I'm going to rest the blade in the oil spot and run it down the blade, roll over to the edge at the point, and bring it back down. And then I'm going to flip the cloth over and wrap the whole blade and wipe the excess oil off. Again, roll on the point and come down edge first and clean there. Now then, with the excess oil, I'm just going to give my bell guard a quick wipe down. Mine is very old and has seen much better days, but most modern guards should not need to be oiled too terribly much. And there we go, a nice clean saber ready to fence with once again. Now then, to keep your blade in good working order so you don't have to do weapons maintenance as often, things I would suggest is to keep your blade in a sleeve or in a scabbard of some kind that secures tightly over and is water resistant. I have a nylon sheath that I usually keep my active blade in that velcros around and makes at least a decent seal and protects the blade from the atmosphere. I've seen other people use PVC pipe that's capped at the end and again strapped around. However you want to do it, you want to keep your active blade in some kind of protection. Further, really resist touching the blade. Once it's got the oil on it, you don't want to be touching it anymore because the oils in your fingers are actually going to encourage the blade to rust. And that's going to make you have to come back with the sandpaper and buff it all out again. Now then, after you've been fencing for a while, you may notice burrs appearing. If you see a burr, as soon as you get home, you're going to want to take a file and file that burr off, because that little burr sticking out is going to cause a weak point and could cause your blade to break sooner than it normally would. Well, that's about all we have for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. Have a great day.